we were. So we've got our main div, or our div with the idea of main, floating around in this space. It can't go up above here because there isn't a float there, and so it's not able to move up past there. This isn't coming up past it because there's the clear on it. So that's an important set of things to understand. A clear won't allow something to go up past a float, and a float won't go up past something that's not floating. So we've got this problem of we've got this space here, and it throws in this weird white space that there is nothing in because it's out of the normal document flow, but this other isn't coming up and taking it. So what can we do to affect that? Well, one of the things that we can do is give it a width of 100%. And what that does is it tells that section to go in and claim the entire width of that box. And so you noticed it floated back, or 100% of the width of what is available to it. In other words, the containing div, or the containing parent element that is around that. And it happens to be that the containing element of that main is actually the body. And so one of the things that a lot of people do is that they will go ahead and they will use containing divs in order to set the size of their page. So it's real common for people to come inside of just inside the body and create a div with an ID of either wrapper or container, and then they'll close that right before the closing body tag. So that would then contain really all of the visible elements of the page. And what that allows you to do is to apply rules to that, such as making it, giving it a positioning. And when you give that a positioning, like a positioning of relative with no properties, what that does is it creates sort of like an aquarium that contains this. And you can do these in different places within the page. And that gives you the ability to float any of the elements inside of it, and they will stay inside of that area. Just like these boxes stay inside of the div with the ID of main, they're floating, they stay inside that box because it's a containing div, kind of like an aquarium where you've got all the walls on the top that hold the water in there. And so wherever you move the aquarium, all of the elements that are inside of that aquarium go with it, and we'll explore that more later on. So where we're sitting at now is if I click inside this box 1, you'll see from the section down here that shows me the context of that element. I'm clicked inside box 1, or actually went into box 1A in that case. If I click out of it, it's box 1. What this shows me is that I've got it shows me the parents of this element. So I've got div box number 1 that sits inside the div of main, which sits inside the div of wrapper, which sits inside the body. And so it's important to keep that context in mind in order to understand how you start manipulating things. And so most of the layout that happens on the web actually uses floating because it is more fluid. And as we move to multiple screen sizes, you'll see that more and more where you're using fluid, what they call a fluid grid, where you use floating instead of positioning, percentages instead of locations or pixels. And so what I want to do is just explore that a little bit to help you understand how you can use that to your advantage. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I've got this wrapper here, and what I want to do is I want to create a new rule for that wrapper. And so I come in here, and that's an ID, so I need to do the pound sign. And so let's do this. Let's give this a width of let's make it 75%. And I'm going to use percents because that allows us to explore some other areas. So I'm going to refresh that, and what you'll see is that it is only taking up 75% of the space available to that. Now that's an important concept to understand as we go forward. So if I wanted this centered in the page, so my wrapper, so if I wanted to have a centered layout, then I need to have a way to place everything inside the center of the body, not to the left or not to the right. And so what we do is when you've got a div such as this, such as wrapper, it allows you to give a width, and if I wanted to center that, what I would do is I would give it a margin left of auto and a margin right of our auto. And then we'll take a look at that. Notice how that pops that over. So what that is doing is it's taking that everything inside that wrapper, anything inside of it is reducing to the size of that wrapper. And that wrapper is now 75% of its containing div, and its containing div is the body. So what you see is that's the width, it's 75% of the available space of the body. And what we've done is we've told it to, on its margins, which is as you recall, the section outside of the border from the box model, we've told it to basically split the left and the right to place it in the middle. And that is an important thing to understand. Anytime you're trying to center block elements inside of containing elements, that's the way that you do it.